Hello and welcome back to... I still don't have a name for this show. Today we'll be looking at Wolfhound. The movie is an adaptation of the books by the same name by Maria Semenova from Russia. The books are apparently inspired by Norse, Slavic and Celtic mythology, as well as the works by Tolkien and Robert E. Howard. So this should be rather interesting. The movie starts in a very Conan the Barbarian kind of way, with the protagonist's peaceful village being attacked and its inhabitants slaughtered. You just guessed the entire plot, didn't you? Back in the story, our hero's family gets slaughtered by the combined efforts of two clans. The two clan leaders show up and we get to see one of their faces, but of the other one we only get to see the tattoo on the back of his hand. They say he is to be sent to the mines as a slave, and then we flash forward to our hero's adulthood. He is breaking into a stronghold that is situated inside of a mountain. Two plot points are quickly being established, the first of which being a piece of cloth that he gets a hold of that will be important later, and the other one being a powder that he sprinkles behind him as he goes in. We later learn that this is fire powder, so yeah, he intends to burn down this entire thing. He walks in on the first villain while the villain is trying to rape a woman. Of course there's rape in this movie too. He's known as the Cannibal and he was one of the clan leaders from the opening. They have a pretty kick-ass fight that shows some creativity, but it doesn't last very long and ends with... Again. Again. And once more in slow motion. This guy just threw a spear so hard that his opponent flew back several meters and got impaled towards a wall. That was awesome! He grabs the tablet and the girl that the cannibal had, and predictably the fortress made out of wood comes crumbling down. He puts a torch towards one of the guard's eyes and scars him. I bring this up because he will appear here and there throughout the movie. Anyway, they make their way to the prison chamber, in which they find the architect behind the castle. He tells them that there is a secret passageway through which they can escape. All evil lairs comes with a secret passageway. They manage to escape and we see Wolfhound discussing with a woman that says the world is ruled by love, and then disappears. They then sit around and discuss the events that has transpired. They also read ahead in the script for clues. I mean, they decipher the meaning behind the tablet. They wander out into the middle of the road and encounter a merchant that is on the way to the same destination as they are. Wolfhound decides to prove that he is worth bringing along, and this leads into a pretty good fight scene. The merchant accepts Wolfhound's offer, and they're on the way. This is where one of the plot points I mentioned becomes important. The robe that the merchant gave to the woman is of the same cloth as the one that Wolfhound found in the castle, leading him to the conclusion that the same person must be traveling with them. And then the old guy looks into the future and sees that they're going to be ambushed. Oh yeah, apparently blind people can do that when it's convenient to the plot. As predicted, they are attacked by bandits and they try to fight them off. The woman and the old man hide beneath the cart, but then Skeletor joins the fray. Okay, his real name is Saboda, but none of you are going to remember that name. He uses his sword to blow everyone away, and then goes after the woman and the old man. And then, wait a minute! Before he could blow everything away, now he can't get to them? Bullshit! Then he engages Wolfhound in melee, and now he can't even use small shockwaves. I guess he must be out of mana. In the end, our hero manages to cut off his arm, which causes the wind to get whipped into a frenzy, and the blood to shoot out Kill Bill style. We then discover that the arm he cut off had the same mark as the warlord from the opening, and he claims the sword as his prize. The merchant believes that they brought this down upon them, so he sends them away, but the female soldier orders him to recall that order. I will just summarize this next segment of the story very quickly, because it's essentially just exposition. Yeah, this entire next segment. Wolfhound gets arrested when he tries to find out more about the sword, and this serves to give us more exposition about Skeletor. He gets set free and we find out about the incredible evil that Skeletor is trying to unleash upon the world because... Fuck it, good enough. He also tracks a mysterious man for a bit. He also saves a slave from execution, but it really doesn't seem important outside of a minor thing at the end. And it's not even important from a fluff perspective. This is... followed by some exposition about how the princess is going to get married away so that the town can get protection, and how that will cause her cousin to lose the rights to the throne. It's incredibly predictable. The one good thing about this scene I can say is that he doesn't just get to join the escort party because he's the main character. He gets to join it because he straight up takes a knife for the princess and kills the assassin. And then we get the only great scene in this entire segment. It's when the princess farewell ceremony is intercut with Skeletor's dark ritual. This alone made the movie worth watching for me. And then we finally set off on our quest to escort the princess to her groom. And if you want to know why I haven't used any of the companions' names, well, that's because now they disappear from the plot. I'm completely serious. They just bugger off somewhere and reappears at the end of the movie because reasons. After they cross a river, an archer tries to take out the princess, but hits a soldier instead. Either she's very lucky or we are very unlucky. They hunt down one of the assassins and he says he'll tell them everything, just before the princess' cousin stabs him to death. Yep, he'll be a traitor for this movie. To further cement this, we find out that one of the archers had gotten a hold of one of their maps. We then fast forward a bit to see that the princess hears someone scream in the distance, and then, because she's a complete idiot, runs in that general direction and runs into what I like to call a Tom Bombadil moment. This is a part of the movie which we disconnect entirely from the rest of the plot in order to try to expand upon the fluff without actually adding anything really useful to the rest of the story. Wonderful, isn't it? Anyway, she runs into some tribal warriors that points their weapons at her. Long story short, they are about to execute a woman and a child due to superstition and tradition. She, in classic fantasy fashion, tries to save them by risking all of their lives. Fortunately, she succeeds without casualties. Now I know what you're thinking. Richard, how could you be so cruel as to suggest that an innocent woman and child doesn't deserve to get saved? To which I say, that's not my point. But the fact is she was being sent off to get married to Prince Vinitar so that the town could fall under his protection, which it is doomed without. In other words, the entire township and everyone who lives in there depends on her survival. I'm sorry, but
the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
And because I feel like it, let's count in how many ways she has nearly jeopardized the entire mission. First, she recklessly ran out into the woods despite knowing full well that the enemy is very much aware of the travel route and has attempted to kill her before. Secondly, she ran into armed guards who could have killed her simply out of principle. And thirdly, she engaged in combat that could have caused several casualties. This is especially distressing considering they know they're up against an evil warlord who can decimate entire fighting forces with shockwaves and leads a pack of cultists. This is also the only part of the movie where she as a character is in the center. Well done, well done. As night falls and the rest go to sleep, our hero practices a bit when the princess comes out and asks him to train her so that she can defend herself against ambushes. Not a completely unreasonable request. Except that in an ambush she is going to be assaulted by arrows, magic and multiple opponents at the same time, so maybe she should just focus on getting away. He seems to have the same idea as me, so he just teaches her something that will allow her to get away if she's in trouble. Oh yeah, and he tells her that he doesn't believe that the world is ruled by love, but by force. The following day they reach a crossroad, with one of the ways being longer but safer, and the other one being shorter but more dangerous. If you've read even the shortest of fantasy stories, you know they're going to take the shortcut and everything will go wrong. So yes, they take the short road which leads them closer to Isengard. I mean Skeletor's territory. They set up camp and are attacked during the night. Show of hands, who's surprised? They flee to a nearby altar and hold up there. Then they fight off the cultists in a rather hard to follow fight scene, before the cultists retreat and summon some kind of ghost. They realize that it's afraid of the light and they start waving torches at it, but it still comes after them. Wolfhound gets caught under it and wait a minute! He's on the ground and he's surrounded by the damn thing and it ignores him. He isn't even holding the torch. Talk about main character privileges. The princess then cuts herself in an offering to the gods, and this creates a light that scares away the ghost. She then died from the infection. The end. Okay, fine, she lives. The next day the cousin returns. Yeah, apparently he left and I didn't notice. Being smart for once, they send someone ahead to tell the groom to meet them part way, so they won't have to travel the whole way without reinforcements. Meanwhile, the cousin meets up with Skeletor to discuss their next move. Surprise, he's evil. They realize that the main character is their most dangerous enemy, and they scheme to take him out via the poison drink tactic. Like in every work of fiction, he almost drinks it. They then sit around a campfire and tell a story that just so happens to be the backstory of our main character. We find out that as a slave he gradually built up his strength and then gained his freedom. Never heard that one before. He does this by defeating the main overseer in a duel. The duel is rather interesting, as I would have expected him to be all noble and shit and beat him down head on, but he just chokes the guy from behind. Yeah, it's incredibly cold and pragmatic. I like it! And as he steps out into the sunlight, having gained his freedom, we see that he is on top of a mountain. How the hell did he get down from there? So after that we see that the princess had guessed that this story was about our hero. Somehow? She also explains why Skeletor is after her, but to make it simple I will show you this equation instead. Simple, no? She then tells him that she wants to have his child, but he rejects her. Way less having to save her skin all the damn time that way. As he leaves, he drinks the poisoned water and falls unconscious. During this time, Skeletor's ravenous pack of bandits attack. He wakes up the following day to see the aftermath of the attack, just before the groom arrives. One Eye tells the groom that it was Wolfhound who killed his father, the cannibal. Naturally, he's pissed at Wolfhound and challenges him to a duel, which goes well for him until he calls Wolfhound a slave, and then Wolfhound retaliates. He nearly kills the groom, but is stopped by the woman we've seen appearing throughout the movie, and instead goes to attend to a survivor. Oh yeah, they had a scene earlier, but it wasn't important. She fills him in on what he missed and he rides off after Skeletor and company. The guards try to shoot him down, but the groom calls him off. I guess when your father is called the cannibal, feelings to avenge him are relative. One Eye, however, tries to take his revenge, but is stopped by the bat. He's one moment to get something done and he gets owned by a bat in the daylight. That's sad.